So, hey guys, I feel like venting today, and I hope I don't offend anybody. I have a mask on because Mama's coughing a lot, and I don't want to chance getting sick. Um, I'm keeping my distance from her because I don't want to pick up anything. But I want to have a conversation today, and I hope no one gets offended by this. But I just want to bring up some things that I'm a little frustrated about. Forgive me, I'm exhausted because she was up a couple times. She kept waking me up to go to the bathroom, even though she didn't have to go to the bathroom. She would wake me up and sit on her bedside commode for 20 minutes, but did not use the bathroom. So I'm living on little to no sleep because when she leaves for dialysis, I have to get a lot of stuff done around the house. So I'm a little irritable and sleepy. And with that being said, I just want to know why the media focuses so much on celebrities that are caregivers. And no disrespect to celebrities who have loved ones that are not well, but and no caregiver story is the same. However, the focus is always on celebrities who do have the means and the funds, and many of them say that they're caregivers, and I'm not saying that they're not, but their journey is not the same as most of us. You know, they have money that they can hire a private duty nurse. They're not taking on the full load of caregiving like many of us. If they're not placing their loved ones in a facility that's a very expensive facility, they're actually hiring private duty nurses or paying caregivers to come in. So, yes, the emotional toll is hard, but it's even worse on some of us, on many of us who don't have the funds to hire someone, or don't have any help from family members, because there are caregivers that have family members that take turns to help each other. But for the most part, at least from what I've studied, is that a lot of people of color, the load is usually left upon one family member. I've seen it in my mom's generation. I'm seeing it in my generation. I've also seen it in a few of my friends. And then, like I said, I've read where a lot of people of color tend to take on the role of caregiving for their loved one, whether it be a parent, a sibling, or even a disabled child. But it usually falls on one person without the help from family members. So, my question to you, as a caregiver, what do you think about that, or just in general public? And like I said, I'm no shade to celebrities or those that are wealthy because, you know, they have the means, some of us don't. But it'd be nice if the media shed light on those of us who really are struggling emotionally and physically, where we have to lift our loved ones, we have to wash and clean, we have to do the full bulk load, take on physical and emotional toll of caregiving because we don't have the funds or the help. There's also the issue of many people of color giving up, sacrificing their jobs to take care of their loved ones because they don't want them in a nursing home because of the abuse, which I will get on that topic in a minute. But what do you think? Am I wrong for saying this? Like I said, I apologize, but I just feel like the media only seems to care. And I know that celebrities, you know, are spokespeople, or how you ever say it, spokespersons for caregivers, but they're not the true caregivers if they're paying someone else to do the job. Like I said, I know it's emotionally taxing on them, but they don't have the same worries that a lot of us have. There's many caregivers that aren't being paid to take care of their loved ones. There are some that are being paid, but like myself, I do get a small amount to take care of my mom. However, when she's hospitalized or in rehab, all the services stop, so there's no pay, and I'm not working another job. And I can't because when she's in the hospital, I'm at the hospital every day, all day, or at the rehab because I have to clean her room or I have to check and make sure she's being fed well. Because a lot of you know that some of these nursing homes and rehab facilities don't take care of the patients the way they should. So I'm there with every procedure. So I don't have time. I can't even really work another job. So if something happens to my mom, whether she transitions or she goes into a rehab facility, there's people in my situation, like I did my capstone project for my caregiving fellowship. There are many people that are facing homelessness because they gave up their jobs to take care of their loved ones. And in my case, I came back home in 2016 to take care of my dad. I gave up a job where I was traveling because there was nobody else to do it. And then when I was going to go back, my mom kind of took a toll change. She kind of got sick, and then she got worse in 2020. So I had to end up becoming her full-time caregiver because there was nobody else to do it. And they would have killed her in the hospital had I not done it. So I just want your input. What do you think about, it's no shade to celebrities or rich people, but I think the media needs to focus sometimes on many of us that don't have that help. Like, I don't feel like you're a true caregiver. I have friends that are in worse situations than me. My mom has some mobility, but I have friends whose family members don't have any, and they have to do the lifting and just do everything by themselves. They can't pay anybody, and they have to do it themselves. So that's my first topic. What do you think of that? And like I said, I'm not trying to disrespect or throw shade at rich people because, hey, they have the money. A lot of us don't. And which brings me to my next topic as far as ethnicity. So, sorry, she's in the background coughing, so you see I have a mask on. Being that my mom has been in and out of rehab a couple of times from falls, I noticed the majority, at least for the places that she's been, the majority of the residents have been Caucasian. And I would love for you to chime in if you're a rehab or nursing home care worker, or you have a loved one in a rehab facility or nursing home. But I definitely noticed the difference in the ethnicities in rehabs and nursing homes. The majority of them are Caucasian, and I've even heard people say, "Oh no, they can't." Of a Caucasian background, say, "No, my mom can't come and stay with me. No, she has to do this," or "No, my dad can't come stay. He has to go there because I can't do it." And some of them aren't even working; they just don't want to take on the task. Whereas I grew up, I saw my uncles and my dad; they all chipped in for my grandma to be in a nursing facility, but my aunt was also there to, check on her. I've seen my mom and my godmother, both of them took care of their parents, and my mom took care of some of her great aunts in their final days. So I grew up watching it with my mom and my godmother and a couple more relatives. That's what we do. And then the studies I've read about said a lot of people of color do take on the task of bringing their parents home or their loved ones home because they don't want them in a nursing facility because of the abuse. So, like I said, I've had my mom in rehab before, and 3 times, and I've had to go and clean her room. My nieces had to DoorDash her food. I had to take food. I did her laundry. I had to spray her room because it's just really bad. The facilities are not the greatest, but I had to have her there for a few weeks so she could learn how to walk again because it was difficult for me to even try to lift her. So if you work at a nursing facility or you're a caregiver, have you noticed the difference in the ratios of blacks, Hispanics, Asians versus Caucasians? Like I said, I've seen more of where there's more Caucasians in rehab facilities and nursing homes than I've seen of any other ethnicity. And do you think it's because people of color have been taught to take care and watch out for their loved ones instead of dumping them? And I've actually seen that before, and I know this is just a side story, but I used to work on a cruise line, and I seen a family of like a Caucasian background, and they dumped their mother on the cruise ship, and they went on another cruise, and this lady had dementia, and they left her on our ship, and she was calling people to her room and trying to get with some of the bus boys, like she literally was like harassing the staff. And we found out that her family went on a separate cruise, and they dumped her off on the cruise ship with us. So it kind of sucks that they did that, but I just want you to chime in and tell me, what do you think if you're a worker, or have you seen differences in the facilities that you've worked at, or even like obviously the hospital's not a little bit different, but in particular the nursing homes and rehabs. Have you seen the difference in the number of Caucasians versus other ethnicities being in rehab or nursing facilities. And on top of that, when you see that, do you see the family members actually coming to visit them or no? Or do you feel like they're just dumping them and leaving them? Because that's another thing I saw. I felt so bad because I literally was at the rehab to see my mom sometimes 2 or 3 times a day. And this is when I was still teaching my fitness classes. I'd go before I go to class, go after I class, and then sometimes I would go back up there. And I did the same thing with my father when he had to go to rehab for he had to go to rehab for a month. This was about 8 years ago when he had cancer. He was in rehab for a month. And I literally was seeing about him, teaching my classes, going to my full-time job, helping my godmother, her mother, and also seeing about my mom who had knee replacement surgery. And I stayed busy, but like I said, I really didn't see as many people of a Caucasian background really seeing their coming to visit their parents, except for like on holidays and stuff. So if you can chime in, and like I said, I'm not trying to offend anybody, but this is just an observation. And like I said, I'm a little irritable. Sorry, I'm just very tired, and I can't go to sleep yet because I have to be up early in the morning. If I go to sleep now, I'll be up in the middle of the night. So I might try. I don't know if I'm taking a nap or not, but I still got to get my workout in because I miss my workout because I normally get up at 5 or 6. But because my mom, like I said, my mom gets confused at night sometimes, and she'll say she has to go to the bathroom, but she doesn't, and then wakes me up. So I was up 3 times last night, and when I finally tried to go back to sleep, it was time to get her up and get her ready for dialysis. And we have to be up early tomorrow, too, because I have to take her to the access center so she can get her access checked for where she gets her dialysis. That's usually every 2 to 3 months. So I will share a glimpse into what that entails tomorrow. But I'll show it on Monday. But I'll do a vlog on that. That's something completely separate. So chime in. Let me know what you think.